Hey guys. Okay, so today we're gonna name ionic compounds, but this time it's gonna be with transition metals. So now we're looking at type 3 nomenclature. Nomenclature, I don't know if you guys remember, it's naming. Okay, so this is type 3, and this is the last part of naming. Okay, now keep in mind that when we're looking still at multiple ions or charges, so we are still looking at polyatomic ions. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Also, what we're dealing with is mainly the ones in the center of the periodic table. These are your transition metals. That's why these are their type 3. Why? These are special because they have more than one ion. As you can tell, like these, like chromium, cobalt, copper, iron, lead, manganese, mercury, and tin, they all have multiple ions. So there's a different procedure how to approach them because of their multiple ions, like to decide which one, how we're gonna name them. Okay, now there is exceptions like zinc and silver and cadmium. So those three have only one type of iron. We're talking about the ones that have more than one, which is this is a pretty much good list that we're going to be working on in class. Okay, so anyways, so instead of so in here we're going to be using Roman numerals. Now we only use that in the names, not in the formulas. Okay, so if you look at the formulas on this example, there's no Roman numeral here, but when we're writing the name, that is where we're going to put in the Roman numeral. Okay, so basically the Roman numeral is going to be the charge. Okay, the Roman numeral is a charge of that element, which is here iron, which is the metal basically. Okay, so anyways, let's start with this example. Now we're still using the crisscross, but sometimes here we have to think about it backwards. Okay, so always also don't forget that we always use it in reduced form, and we're going to talk about one. I think this is an example. We're going to reduce it to the most lowest. Okay, and also don't forget that your second non-metal, like, well, this one, the second name, which is a non-metal, has always, instead of oxygen, you're going to put IDE at the end. So it still has the same similar rules. Okay, except we're going to do the Roman numerals, and we're going to be looking at the crisscross but a little bit backwards. Okay, so like for example, like on this one. Okay, so first we're going to be writing down, if I give you the formula. Okay, so if I give you Fe, oh, Fe is iron. Oh, but is it iron 2 or is it iron 3? Since in here we already applied the crisscross. Remember that the charge that whatever this one had, you had to send it to oxygen. The oxygen had the negative 2 charge. Well, now it's going to go backwards, okay? Because that 3 was part of iron. That's the only reason we know it's 3 oxygens, because it had a positive 3 iron. Okay? So it would have to go like this. So that means iron has a positive 3, okay? And then oxygen should have had a negative 2. That's why the 3 went over here and the 2 went over here, and that's why you get this, right? Okay, that's why you get that. Okay, so now the charge right here, this charge, okay, and it comes from this 3, right? Okay, so this 3, okay, so right here, this charge, that's the Roman numeral. So now we're gonna write it down. So Fe means iron. Well, let's write the name down. So it will be iron. That will be, and I'm gonna go ahead and this represents the iron. Okay, that's iron. And now the 3 right here, this 3, actually it should be this 3, that is the Roman numeral 3. Okay, which is this one right here. Okay, and I should keep actually iron only here. Okay, and then now the oxygen is right here. So the oxygen, it would just be oxide. So you don't even have to worry about the two. It's just oxide. So this is iron 3, and this will be oxide. Okay, so that's your green right here, oxide. Okay, so again, iron 3 oxide. Okay, you always look at this number at the end to find your Roman numeral. Okay, the one next to the nonmetal. Okay, now let's go ahead and write the formula. So this is iron 2 oxide, right? So now we know that this 2 is the charge, right? So that means, and I'm going to go ahead and make it in red iron because I could, so iron, and then it's going to be iron, and then it's going to be a 2. So it will be Fe, and then plus 2. And then oxide is oxygen. So I'm going to put that one in green. So that's oxygen. And oxygen has a -2. So it will be a -2. Okay. So now, oh, there you go. You see? So that means it would be, you have to, don't forget that you have to crisscross. So that goes there and that goes there, right? So that means it will be iron. It will be iron. And that would have a 2. And actually I should make it a green so you guys can see how it crisscross. And then it will be oxygen, oxygen, and that I'm going to put a 2 in red so you can know that it crisscrossed. Okay, now this is not in reduced form. So remember, when they're the same, you always put it in reduced form. So that would change to, it would change to iron, and then oxide. That will be 1, always in reduced form. Okay, so that is your answer for this one. Now the next one. Let's look at the next example. Okay, Cu. That means it's copper, but is it copper 1 or 2? Okay, so copper, I'm going to go ahead and put it in red, and this one's in green. Okay, so copper, now I'm going to go ahead and put the charges. So in this one though, there's, you see, there's a 1 here. Okay, there's a 1. So that means, and this copper right here has a 1 as well. So that means this copper should be 1. Okay, that should be the 1. Okay, so it would be copper. And it will be 1. And I'm going to put it in green because that's a 1, right? And then it would be, instead of chlorine, Cl, chlorine, it's right here. We're going to write it chloride. And the good thing is I give you the list so you can know how to spell it. Okay, so it will be chloride. So it will be chloride. Okay, so it's copper 1 chloride. So that's your answer for this one. Okay, why? Because copper had the positive 1. Remember how it had to crisscross? Okay, so now let's look at the next one. You see how it's copper chloride now? But look at this one now. Okay, so copper, remember that this 2, it's going to belong to this 2, to this copper. Okay, because it had crisscross. You see how that 3, like here, it went here, and that 2 went here. So here you have to go backwards. Oh, the Fe, what's the Roman numeral? Oh, I just look at the last number. That's a 3. That's why you have Roman numeral 3. Okay, so this one will be copper 2 chloride. Okay, so it would be copper. And I'm going to go ahead and put 2. That's the 2. And then, and that will be chloride. So it would be chloride. Okay, so that's for this. Okay, now let's look at the next one. Let's look at chromium. Okay, so chromium, if we look at chromium, it has either 2 or 3, right? So again, look at chromium and it has a Roman numeral 3. Remember, the Roman numeral is a charge of chromium. So what's the symbol? It's Cr and it's 3 plus. So Cr3 plus. So I'm going to put this one in green. Cr3 plus. Okay, and then nitride is 3 minus. So it will be, let me see, oops, I'm going to go ahead and use nitride as red. So N, and there will be minus 3. Okay, now you're going to go ahead and crisscross. That 3 goes here, that 3 goes here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and put this Cr as green, and I'm going to put the 3 down there, and then I'm going to put the nitrogen, oops, still red, and then I'm going to put the 3 green up here. Okay, so that's why you see how it's chromium 3, because it's always that last number. Okay, so we're not done yet. Keep in mind that we always want it in reduced form. So we're going to go ahead and reduce it. They're the same number. So that means the reduced form is 1 and 1. So that will be Cr1, and this is N1. Or you don't have to write the ones. You just keep it simple. Just Cr, and then it will be N. And that's your answer. Okay?